Hello everyone! The American superhero Superman embodies the values and ideals of the United States. Freedom and justice. The alien was adopted by a simple farmer and his wife, and they raised him as their own son. But what if things were different, and the capsule with the baby ended up in the Soviet Union, which had recently won World War II? Soviet Union. The year is 1946. A boy is fleeing across the field from his peers who are about to beat him up. The girl named Svetlana wants to protect the boy from the bullies and fends them off.
I'll hit you again, Dmitry Romanovich.
If you weren't a girl.
The bully swallows his pride and runs away. Svetlana asks her friend to come out of his hiding place behind the tractor. He thanks her for her help and reveals that strange things have been happening to him lately. He has actually been running away to avoid crippling his pursuers in anger, and demonstrates his immense strength by lifting the tractor above him with his bare hands. He then picks up Svetlana and flies into the air with her. She convinces her friend to reveal his abilities to people and use them for the benefit of their countrymen. 9 years later, the whole world shudders from the footage of the Soviet propaganda, showing the Soviet Superman's combat capabilities. American genius and millionaire Lex Luthor discusses his future plan of action with the President of the United States by phone. To learn more about the alien, he comes up with the idea of shooting a Soviet satellite out of orbit so that it would fall on the American metropolis. This is bound to get Superman's attention. Luthor's wife, the famous journalist Lois Lane, enters the room and kisses him. Meanwhile, Stalin announces the opening of the world's largest hydroelectric power plant. He states that Superman is the one who made the construction possible and invites him to speak.
A young man I have come to look upon as both a great Soviet hero and a son.
In his address, Superman stresses that this achievement was possible thanks to the contribution of all Soviet citizens. People who are united by one common idea will achieve even greater things in the future, and he's ready to become their symbol and inspire them to go forward. The audience applauds and Superman flies to the top of the dam to start the flow of water. Sometime later, a Soviet satellite falls out of orbit and is about to drop right on Metropolis. Lois Lane and the other residents watch the fireball fly right at them. Then, Superman appears and grabs the metal shell of the satellite and redirects it to the bay. He then turns to the people and says that he doesn't blame them for being afraid of him. The common people are not his enemies. They are victims of the capitalist regime and the rich, who seek to preserve universal inequality. Lois Lane says that she wants to interview the hero. He declines because journalists are also the enemy of the people, spreading propaganda and twisting words as they see fit. Besides, Lois herself is married to the wealthy oligarch Lex Luthor.
So the great Soviet Superman is afraid of the free expression of ideas.
Superman silently flies away after this caustic remark. That evening, Lois goes out to get some air on the roof, and Superman pays her a visit. He says he's not afraid of the truth, but Lois hints at the strange coincidence that the satellite fell right on the American city. It's hard to imagine a better way to be portrayed as a hero who rescued the citizens of the United States. Superman doesn't believe the Soviets could do such an atrocity. The communists want to lift people out of the misery that plagues America, a land built upon the backs of slaves and immigrants. In response, Lois gives him a folder with documents proving the existence of a secret camp system in the Soviet Union in which those who disagree with the party politics are unjustly imprisoned. She wants Superman to see for himself whether the Soviet utopia is really what it seems. Superman immediately flies to the far north, where he finds a secret guarded base. When he gets inside, he realizes that the floor is lined with lead to block his sight and hearing. He takes the elevator down and sees people working in the mines in inhumane conditions. There are even children there. And one boy accuses Superman of coming too late, as his parents are already dead. A swarm of bats flies over his head. In the corner, Superman notices a woman and suddenly realizes that she's his childhood friend, Svetlana. She's seriously sick and falls into the hero's arms. Superman destroys the gate and frees the prisoners. Svetlana was waiting for him to come for her. She was sent to the Gulag only because she knew Superman in the past, back when he didn't have superpowers. The girl asks him to use his powers to save people from injustice and dies. Superman goes right to Stalin and asks him why he's killing millions of his own people. The premier says it's inevitable, as the insurgents and the weak will always try to bring down the system. Superman asks if the system works for the welfare of the people or the welfare of their leader. Stalin sees no difference, and Superman incinerates the dictator drunk with power. The people swear their allegiance to the new ruler. News of Stalin's death spreads around the world. Luthor and Lois's plan has worked. the Soviet satellite is retrieved from the bottom of the bay. Luthor collects Superman's DNA from the hull to create his clone. After becoming the new leader, Superman decides to put an end to the Korean War. He brutally massacres Southern troops, aided by the United States. He justifies the casualties, saying they were necessary to bring peace that will save millions of lives. In response, the US president and Luthor release a clone of Superman, who is every bit as capable as he is. They call him Superior Man. In Moscow, Superman is visited by the ambassador of Themyscira, the Amazon nation. Diana, the daughter of the island's ruler, also has superpowers.
I had a name once, Diana. Before I stopped being a man and became a symbol.
Wonder Woman admires the society that Superman has built, but still doesn't fully trust him. She suggests she becomes a bridge between the global superpowers that have engaged in a Cold War, but Superman refuses. He's convinced that negotiations with America are impossible. Meanwhile, Superior Man crosses the ocean and lands right in Red Square. He attacks Superman and wreaks havoc in the city. Superman takes off to lead the enemy away. Superior Man follows him and the two fight. Lex watches it through the cameras planted in the clone's eyes and orders to send more power to his creation. The mechanism fills the Superior Man with energy, but it's still not enough to win. Luthor repeats the process over and over again, and the clone's body begins to deteriorate. Superman gains the upper hand, and another surge of energy completely destroys Luthor's creation. Superman realizes who sent the enemy. Lois is unhappy with her husband, who has been too cruel to a living creature. He apologizes, but says that such methods are necessary when you fight against an invincible enemy. Years later, Superman tears down the Berlin Wall. He claims that it was created to maintain inequality. Now communism will spread to Western Europe. Shortly thereafter, Earth is attacked by an alien artificial intelligence called Brainiac. Using its ship, it shrinks the city of Stalingrad along with the humans and abducts it. Superman prevents the alien from flying away and penetrates the ship's defenses. In 1966, a guide at the People's Museum in Moscow explains how the Premier continues to work to bring the miniature Stalingrad back to its true size. Superman also reprogrammed Brainiac after defeating it, using the living computer for the benefit of the country. This helped eliminate hunger, disease, and illiteracy, and created a humane technology to control those who disagree with the party. Batman interrupts this pompous speech.
He may feed and shelter everyone, but the only freedom we have is to be exactly what he wants us to be.
He's going to tear the system down to the ground. Batman warns that in 10 minutes the museum will blow up. People try to escape, but the explosion happens much sooner. Batman lied. The timer was only set to 10 seconds. Explosions happen all over Moscow, and the military chases Batman, but he evades them and steals a helicopter. He uses it to cause more destruction, while Superman tries to rescue people from under the rubble. Superman notices Batman's accomplices, who have been planting bombs, and threatens to kill them. However, he stops and instead decides to fix their brainwashed minds with his new technology. Wonder Woman also rescues people from a burning building. She tells Superman that a woman would never commit such atrocities. Superman assures her that not all men act like Batman. 1 year later, the Americans find a crashed alien ship. Its dead pilot wears a strange green ring on his finger. Luthor says it's a powerful weapon that accesses energy as old as the universe itself. Captain Hal Jordan is called upon to use the ring and lead an elite squad to confront Superman. In the USSR, the construction of the newest megapolis is underway. But Wonder Woman doesn't share Superman's joy. Despite the visibly improved statistics, she strongly disagrees with the population control methods used by Superman. Her mother, the Queen, threatens to close the Themyscira embassy. Superman replies that when America, the last bastion of capitalism, collapses, control won't be necessary. And that will happen very soon, because the United States are hit by severe economic depression. Brainiac suggests they invade the weakened United States and seize power, but Superman outright refuses to do so. His mission is to prove the superiority of ideology with as little bloodshed as possible. Although Diana's mother has already lost her patience, Diana herself still believes in Superman.
Queen Hippolyta believes that freedom must spring from within, that it can't be imposed from without, no matter how high-minded the motives.
Later, Superman is having dinner with the ambassador from China. They sit on opposite ends of a huge table. Despite the compliments, Superman notices the ambassador feels tense. When he inquires why, insisting on getting an honest answer, the ambassador confesses that he is terribly afraid of Superman. Suddenly, they hear an explosion, and Superman sees the flaming symbol of the bat burning in the city. He hears Diana screaming and rushes to help her. Batman holds her hostage with the lasso of truth. The lasso contains Wonder Woman's energy, so she must obey her captor. Batman intends to end Superman's dictatorship forever and activates the Red Sun lamps. Luthor helped him create them. Their radiation simulates the conditions of Superman's home planet, which completely deprives him of his superpowers.
Pain is a new sensation, yes? Get used to it.
Batman brutally beats up Superman. He claims Superman is no better than Stalin and throws him into the basement, where he will spend the rest of his life. Diana says that Batman is a monster like all other men. She tears the lasso in anger, which turns her hair gray. With her last bit of strength, she breaks the red light energy generator, and Superman breaks out of his confinement. He threatens Batman with brain surgery to suppress his will. Batman would rather die than let that happen, so he detonates a bomb in his chest. Superman offers to help Wonder Woman, but she refuses and says she is disappointed in violent men. What Superman wanted to do to Batman's brain is no better than the villain's methods. Wonder Woman says she will no longer help Superman. In 1983, Lex Luthor is elected president of the United States. He leads the country out of the crisis. While in the USSR, on the contrary, riots break out. Brainiac warns that if this continues, America will win the Cold War. Only by capturing Luthor can USSR prevail. But Superman is still adamant that he wants to achieve his goals by winning with the arguments, not brute force. Suddenly, the tracking systems detect rockets flying towards Moscow. Turns out these are the soldiers of the Green Lantern Corps. Captain Jordan orders his comrades in arms not to be afraid of the approaching Superman. He flies into their formation, but gets blasted with a barrage of missiles in return. This doesn't hurt him, but the Lanterns also repel his heat vision attack with their shields. The squad channels energy to trap Superman. They're shrinking the cube to contain him, but Wonder Woman shows up and prevents the Americans from finishing their battle. Superman is glad to have his friends save him again, but that's not the reason why Diana is here. She begs both sides to stop the war, which threatens to destroy the entire Earth and bring suffering to all inhabitants of the planet. Wonder Woman wants guarantees from Superman, and after that, she wants to talk to Luthor.
Monster could manipulate you, convince you to turn against me in a matter of minutes.
Do you really think so little of me?
Diana says that the hero she once admired is long gone, or maybe he never existed at all. In response, Superman tries to punch her, but the woman easily intercepts his punch. This is the last straw. The Amazons will never again try to help people who are unwilling to listen to the voice of reason. She says goodbye and flies away forever. Superman continues the battle with the Green Lanterns and emerges victorious. Together with Brainiac, he heads for the White House to end Luthor for good. They see no guards and suspect an ambush. Lois Lane comes from out of the building with a miniaturized Stalingrad, which was stolen from the Kremlin. She says that Superman never wanted to restore it to its former size. Superman doesn't understand what she's talking about, as he has tried many times to use Brainiac to rebuild the city, but the robot was malfunctioning. The artificial mind intervenes, saying the restoration technology was always available, but Superman unconsciously refused to see it.
A perfect symbol for a dictator who spent his entire life trying to put the whole world in a bottle.
All Superman can say in his defense is that he sincerely wanted to end human suffering. He takes the city to fix his mistake, but when Superman orders Brainiac to go home, the artificial mind refuses. Turning back will do irreparable damage to the Soviet ideology. Superman doesn't care about that. He has once again realized the horrors Stalin put his people through, and realizes he's no better than him. Brainiac concludes that such a response is unacceptable, and destroys Stalingrad in Superman's hands with a laser. Turns out, the alien artificial mind outsmarted everyone. It pretended to be reprogrammed, but its plan was to pit the two superpowers against each other and take over the world. Brainiac's ship throws Superman aside, and Lex saves Lois from a falling White House pillar that was about to crush her. He stands by Superman's side in the fight. They fail to penetrate the force field that Brainiac has improved. Actually, even the first time Superman broke the defense only because the artificial intelligence allowed him to do so. But Luthor has technology that punches a hole in the ship's hull. Superman protects Luthor from Brainiac's attacks and gets inside the ship.
You used me, manipulated me as if I was some brainless puppet.
Brainiac notes that their methods were very similar, except that his are more efficient. Superman manages to break through the robot's last defenses and destroy it. Luthor congratulates Superman on the victory, but asks him to leave Earth as punishment for the suffering inflicted on mankind. Suddenly, the ship's self-destruct system is activated. Since it's powered by 6 miniature black holes, the explosion will destroy everything within a 15 million mile radius. Superman pushes the ship into space and takes it as far away from Earth as possible. He recalls the words of Svetlana, who believed her friend would save the world. the ship explodes far away in space. And on Earth, Lex announces that he is stepping down from office. The death of Superman and Brainiac puts an end to the confrontation between the two global superpowers. The US will give aid to the countries that will form after the collapse of the USSR. Lois looks at the crowd and is surprised to see Superman there, who has survived, but now hides his identity. As always, you'll find the name of the movie in the video description. In the meantime, let us know in the comments. What do you think Russian Superman will do after the USSR collapses? And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button to see even more cool recaps.